Hi folks, and welcome to Tech with Troy. One of the questions we've been asked a lot lately is, should I think about getting a Chromebook for my child, either for Christmas or for school or for whatever reason? It's actually a very interesting question for a couple of reasons. And first, let's talk about sort of what a Chromebook is and how it differs from conventional laptops, if you will. So first of all, you need to understand that a Chromebook basically intends for the user to run web apps. It's going to run through the Chrome browser, and it's intended for people that are going to use things like Google Docs, or you're going to watch YouTube, or you're going to be in Gmail. So all of these things have basically web interfaces. Because of that, most Chromebooks tend to come with very limited local storage space, although a lot of them, almost all of them as a matter of fact, do come with an SD card in case you need to store additional content. But they're usually going to have 16 gig or 32 gig, or in some extreme cases maybe 64 gig of local storage. And that's okay if you're comfortable with yourself or with your kid interacting on the web to a large extent, then it's probably going to work out fine. Now, there are a couple of things that you sort of need to watch for if you intend to get a Chromebook. First of all, you have to ask, what's the use case? Is it going to be for homework? Is it going to be for watching videos? And is the intention that the child is going to use it as a laptop, where they basically keep it in their lap, they've got the keyboard flat, and then they raise the screen to look at it? Or they sit it on a table in front of them, for example. In particular, I guess what I'm asking is, if they don't really care about playing games, then maybe a conventional clamshell laptop where you open it up is a good idea. And though there's still some things I would look for. First of all, as per other videos that I've put on this channel, I'd recommend you get at least 4 gigabytes of memory. It is technically possible, and it's more possible to run a Chromebook with 2 gig than it is to run a Windows machine or a Mac machine with 2 gig. But I'd still recommend that you go ahead and get 4 gig. Kids today tend to keep a lot of different tabs open. If you think about how they do their homework, as a matter of fact, it's not that unusual for them to be swapping back and forth between a browser window where they're looking up definitions and then copying and hopefully rewriting those definitions over in a word processing tab. So 4 gig is probably a good idea. Now, what that means is when you're looking for a good Chromebook, you want to focus on the sort of tactile input things, and you want to look at the keyboard, the trackpad, and you also want to read about the screen. Now, I'm not going to say what's a good keyboard or what's a good trackpad or what's a good screen, because that differs for different people. Some people actually use their laptops and Chromebooks inside all the time, so they don't need as bright a screen. Other folks swear by matte screens, have a sort of little rough texture to them. Others like glossy screens. Same thing with keyboards and trackpads. It's really pretty much a personal taste issue. What I will say is, in just a second, when I make some recommendations about brands of manufacturers to go to for Chromebooks, they're all going to be name brands, and because they're name brands, they've got this input-output thing down pretty good in terms of, every Acer keyboard tends to feel the same. Every HP keyboard tends to feel the same. And so if nothing else, go down to your local Walmart or Best Buy and just try out the keyboards. They don't even have to be on a Chromebook, but try out the keyboards on the brand that you're thinking about getting. See how you like the springiness, the shape of the keys, and so forth, and the feel of the trackpad, and that'll give you some good input on that. Now, a couple of good-to-have features. One is, if you are getting a Chromebook, because it can do things like stream Netflix and watch YouTube and so forth, it'd be nice to have an HDMI port. So if you want to hook it up to a TV or a larger monitor, it'd be great for that. The other thing is that the newest Chromebooks are going to have USB-C ports. Even if that's not the only charging method, usually they can at least also charge with a USB-C port. And the reason that's nice to have is because all the phones, I went down to Verizon the other day, I was looking for an upgrade for my daughter, and basically they said, well, you have to get a phone with a USB-C port. We don't even carry any phones that don't have USB-C ports anymore. So the nice thing is that basically the phone charger and the Chromebook charger would be interchangeable. And Chromebooks tend to take very low wattage, so this isn't like the power delivery ports, which are also USB-C ports that you'll sometimes see on Windows laptops. Those things have a lot more voltage and wattage and so forth. But basically you can swap back and forth between a phone charger and a Chromebook charger if they're both USB-C. Now, as I said before, really what you want to look for here is one of the name brands. And those of you who are a little bit older might not have heard of Asus, but I consider it definitely a name brand. They've been making motherboards for a long time, and they've also made some really good laptops in the past 3 or 4 years too. So Acer, Asus, Dell, HP, Samsung, and in particular the Samsung Chromebook 3, which is a little bit older, so it has an older Celeron processor, but it's still a very good quality Chromebook. Now, if the intention is to let the kid also play some games on it, first of all, you need to understand what I mean by games. They're not going to be able to play Windows or Mac operating system games. What they will be able to play is, and any Chromebook would allow you to play games from the Chrome store, if you will. But if you can look for a particular subset of Chromebooks, newer Chromebooks and some select older Chromebooks will actually run Android apps. So what that means is you get access to the Google Play Store, and then you can download, for instance, you can download Minecraft, you can download Settlers of Catan and stuff like that and play it on your Chromebook. Now if you're going to do that, I would highly recommend that you think about a Chromebook with a touchscreen, and more importantly, maybe a 2-in-1, one of those Chromebooks that'll flip and turn so that you can actually have the keyboard flat behind the screen. And I'm going to show you some examples of different Chromebooks in just a second. But if you think about it, a lot of times when a parent is thinking about getting a Chromebook for their kid or a laptop for their kid, and it's their first laptop, it's because the kid has grown up and has been playing on mom or dad's phone, and so they're used to the Android games, but they're also used to the touch interface and interacting with the games through the screen. So that's why I'd recommend thinking about getting a 2-in-1 with a touchscreen. And like I said, I'll show you some examples in just a second, but you really want to get 4 gig of memory here, because games are just going to run better if you have 4 gig. So don't go with 2 gig. Now there's 3 particular Chromebooks that meet this set of criteria. The Asus Chromebook Flip C101PA, which I'll show you in just a second. The Acer Chromebook R11, which is a little bit older, so I do not believe it comes with a USB-C connection. And then the Lenovo Chromebook C330. So let's go over to a web browser and take a look at some of these. Now, first of all, when you're looking at Chromebooks, it's tempting to go out and Google on the web, will my Chromebook run Android? Take any list of that purport to list exhaustively all the Chromebooks that will run Android with a big whopping grain of salt, for 2 reasons. One is it's a moving target. Additional older Chromebooks are getting Android support added as we speak, and newer Chromebooks, when they come out, sometimes they have support for Android apps baked in, and sometimes they add it along the way. So for instance, here's one of the lists. It's a techie thing, and they list particular Chromebooks that are expected to run Android. But I particularly went for the Lenovo Chromebook that I was going to mention in just a second, and looked, and it's not on this list yet. But when I do a search individually for that Chromebook, it is on the list. So let's talk about that Chromebook. So at Best Buy right now, they have this Chromebook, which apparently only comes in Blizzard White, and normally I would recommend it's a white Chromebook. But for those of you that have watched other videos on the channel, you know that I'm a big fan of Lenovo's because I like their keyboard and the feel of their keyboard. This is supposed to be a good quality Chromebook. It is supposed to run Android apps, and right now it's on sale at Best Buy for $249. I'll put the link in the show notes below. It's got very good reviews. The one thing I will say about this, and I'll switch into the different views so you can see what I mean by. So a 2-in-1 where the keyboard basically flattens up against the back of the screen, and you can use it as a tablet, or you can use it in what I call presenter mode, or obviously you can use it in what people normally call tent mode to watch videos and everything. To be honest, even if you're not playing games, having the ability to interact with a video site, for instance, by clicking on the screen and by having it in tent mode like this, that just does tend to come in pretty handy. Now, the one thing that I will say about this machine, it does have, if you zoom in just a second, I'll move it so you can see it. It does have a full-size SD card slot. On the one hand, that's good, but on the other hand, from what I've read, the SD cards tend to stick out about 2/3 of the way from the SD card slot. So unlike most Chromebooks where you can basically get a micro SD card and put in and leave it in and have it there as additional storage, with this one you're not going to want to pick up and carry around a laptop with an SD card sticking out. Now it does come with 32 gig of storage, and as long as you don't do things like try to store a lot of local movies on an SD card slot or something like that, 32 gig should be more than enough. But just keep in mind that you're not going to want to carry this thing around with an SD card sticking out of it. Now, the Acer Chromebook that I mentioned is on sale right now. Well, not on sale, but it's got a pretty good price at Walmart of around $279. And this comes in, I've seen it mostly in blue. I think it also comes in black. But it, it does the same different types of tent mode and presenter mode. And it does, I think, the flat against the back of the screen mode. And then finally, the Asus machine that I was talking about. Let's see here. I'll just go ahead and zoom in on a particular brand. So this also does flat against the back, all the different modes and so forth. The nice thing about this is it's an all-metal body. It does come with USB Type-C. And it has a fairly good battery life. Now the R11 tends to have less battery life. I don't know about the Lenovo, to be honest, but this one I think does consistently have fairly good battery life. So all three would be a good choice, but like I said, the main thing to think about is how the kid's going to use the laptop. If they're going to use it as a laptop with a keyboard and the screen looking at them, then just about any Chromebook, as long as it's not too old, as long as it has 4 gig of RAM, it's going to be pretty good. But if they're going to use it for games, I would really recommend a 2-in-1 with a touchscreen, and I'd really recommend going with actually one of these three. You can find others that are also going to support Android. And you'll find others that also have, additional attributes as time goes by. But these are the three right now that I think would be the best investment for your money. Hope that helps. And as always, if you've appreciated the video, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to our channel. I hope that everybody has a good holiday season, and take care. Bye.